Cold storage is not useful for that. You don't have the liquidity that you need. So, for example, if I'm running a mandate, and here's a good example. Let's say I'm running a mandate that only allows up to 5% in Bitcoin, 5% in Ethereum, 5% in Solana, whatever. And all of a sudden the prices move in that 12 hours and I'm offside. I need to bring it down to be on side so that I'm staying in that diversified mandate. It's very hard to do that with cold storage. Very hard.
You need to be able to trade. Kev, I want to take you to a video over here. I'm sure you've seen it 100 times in the last couple of days. I'm going to show it again, specifically this video.
Oh, thank you very much.
Trite. Let me explain how bottoms are made in any market. I don't care if you're in equities or in debt or in crypto or in real estate. You always need a big player to go to zero. That always helps, whether it's long-term capital or whether it's one of these crypto infrastructure companies. I would like to see, and I don't want this to happen, but it always gives you a good bottom when you get a large player over-levered that goes to zero. And that always tends to be the beginning of the rebuilding process. So if you have to sacrifice.
And they're certainly not going to invest on an unregulated, rogue platform. I don't pick any one of them. These unregulated platforms are never going to get institutional capital after what's happened here, ever. Not now, not ever. So the whole point is we need this regulation. In addition, crypto's not going away. It's too productive. It's too useful. It provides a lot of services with transparency and lower cost than the existing systems do today. And I'm talking about, whether you want ACH or a SWIFT transfer or a Fed wire, these things are really old and inefficient and very expensive. Just on payment systems alone, I'd like to use a stable coin for my businesses, and I intend to do that as soon as the regulations pass. Now, along with others, I'm not the only one, I'm going to be spending a lot more time in Washington really firing up my voice on getting this regulation through. I'm not the only person that's going to be doing this. I'm tired of waiting for it. I think we're very, very inefficient, and it's time to move. And this onion that's being unpeeled is going to get much worse by the time this is over. The amount of hedge funds, you just detailed one of them. There are countless others that are going to go to zero. So this is going to have a very, very powerful impact in terms of loss of capital. Sam Bankman-Fried made multiple attempts in Washington to get regulation, particularly on options trading and derivative trading around crypto. And he met with everybody. He was one of the loudest voices towards getting regulation because he wanted to be able to do it in the US and have the same feature set that the international platform had in the US, which it didn't have. So if you in order to use all the features of the FTX platform, you couldn't do it in the US. You had to register it in another country. And so he was very, very active doing that. So look, obviously politics being what it is, they're going to try and make a big story out of this. But at the end of the day, I don't think this one has any teeth, because you can find him meeting with both sides of the aisle, as many people did, going to Washington, trying to advance one of these digital bills, like the Digital Commodities Act or the Transparent Stablecoin Act. He was, and his team were very, very active there. They were in Washington all the time. So look, it's obviously he gave more to the Democrats because his family is Democratic, because we are audited in many cases by the same firms. The auditing firms were talking to each other. The lawyers were talking to each other. We have to market in our operating company every 12 hours, as I said earlier. So we mark to market on Monday morning at 9 o'clock, 0 on our investment in FTX International, 0 on our investment FTX USA, 0 on all assets which had disappeared from our accounts. So that was a tough day. That's a hit. But we have many, many investments. We have compliance that forces the discipline of diversification, both on positions and on institutions. We don't own all our crypto on FTX. We don't do that because that's not compliant for us in our rules and how we operate our business. So my biggest concern now, and I talked to the auditors about this, and we talked about this earlier, is where can I put them? And for now, it's Canada. It's BitBuy, account there. And now we are monitoring that account with the regulator beside us every day. It's the only country I can find that has such an advanced regulation. The OSC order is at 6 billion or 8 billion. He confirmed to me in a very rational conversation, it was short but rational, the number was 8 billion. I got back on the phone with all of the institutions that I work for in the indexing business that were asking me, what's the number? What are the terms? What's the number? While that conversation was happening, by around 3 in the afternoon, that interview with Gensler at the SEC started to circulate worldwide. And it was clear that he was bringing out a very hard hammer onto this situation. The minute that happened, every sovereign wealth fund backed off because they can't go offside with the SEC. They put most of their assets in the S&P 500. So after multiple phone calls back and forth, and the time zone was 12 hours to some of these countries, that was over. There was no option. I left a message for Sam saying that conduit is closed because of what's going on with the regulator in the US. And that's the way we left it. And obviously, you know, he's in a shitstorm right now. He's got to deal with it. It is what it is. You've been very vocal and transparent in pursuing as much information. I've been staying tuned with what you've been doing. As other, you know, this story's not over. There are so many pieces yet to fall. But I'll go back to that video you played 10 minutes ago. This event has a silver lining. This industry will emerge much better when this is over. It really will. The amount of regulation that's going to be forced into this, there's no question is a benefit. That's a great question. No one's asked me yet. I think we can all admit, you can love him or hate him given what's happened, but he was one of the most brilliant traders in the crypto universe. He also built one of the most robust platforms. We used FTX actively. It was a very robust platform that allowed us to get information on a compliant basis. So I really like what he built.
Would you back him?
The answer would be yes. And I'll tell you how I would do it. I would do it in a different context. He would not have operational control of the assets. He would have trading control. And you're going to find, assuming he doesn't get involved in a bad situation somehow personally, that he will be found somewhere else in crypto. I know all the players in the crypto market, and I'm just telling you, there's nobody quite like him. And you're asking, you know, I'm transparent, I'm honest.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, Sam Bankman-Fried is an unusual 1% person in terms of understanding how these assets work. And if I could put him on my team in a very straight vertical where he doesn't have the ability to move assets around, but has the ability to trade them,